And look at Ronnie just laying him in here and slapping him in the face. Okay. Flair going to take a bump.
Man, how great was the chemistry with these two guys? I know that, listen, I've been critical of the decision to put the belt on Ron Garvin in 87. And if we keep this going for next year, and that's certainly a consideration, we'll get into it. But boy, the chemistry he has with Ric Flair is phenomenal.
Yeah. Ronnie had a bad back too. In 87, he had a bad back. And I remember he had a match in Johnson City, Tennessee with Ric Flair. We were there. We did a TV taping there, and then Flair and Garvin had the main event. And Garvin's back was so bad and hurting him so bad, but Flair coached him up. And I remember being right at ringside because I did the ring announcing for the final match. And I remember hearing Flair say, "You can do it. You can do it." Just, if you're close, you know what's going on, you could hear it. And they just had, not only they had great chemistry, they had a great working relationship. I don't know what Flair says now about Ronnie Garvin, but it has to be nothing but good stuff.
Oh, it's always complimentary of his in-ring work. And he thought that he was ready for prime time. And then we'll say, I guess I was wrong, but Flair was a big advocate for Garvin back then because he knew they had great matches, and he's exactly right. Hey, what do you think of Rick's boots here? It's a little bit of a departure for him. I mean, I guess it's not. Back then he was a little more experimental, but eventually he settled in on one color and then, a different color RF. He's got a lot of inserts here. So there's lots of different design elements. It's not your standard Flair boot. And it's a little weird to see, if I'm honest. I mean, I know that he was trying stuff and he did that a lot in his early days, but I'm just used to the traditional classic RF and that's it. And he's doing something a little different here.
Yeah, he's doing it different. He's trying to be color coordinated here, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
With the boots and the knees, and there you see it. Yeah, look at that. He's got it looks like a white teardrop almost with an RF on it.
Yeah, and there's like multiple like shades of green. It's a different deal for him. We're used to just the one solid color kind of deal and different presentation.
Yeah, I wonder how many times he wore this. I wonder if this was just special for this show, because this is the forerunner to Clash of the Champions.
I think when he wrestled down in Championship Wrestling from Florida later this month, I guess, a week after this aired, he did Battle of the Belts 2 down there and wrestled Barry Windham in what Dave Meltzer called the best hour in the history of wrestling television. Or maybe it was a 2-hour show and they win an hour. I forget, but Meltzer called it, one of the best shows in wrestling television history. And it's because they gave Barry Windham and Ric Flair a ton of time. And that's when Rick debuted the big gold belt for the very first time. And he had on the exact same outfit that he has here, the green robe, the green boots, the green trunks. But I'm excited to see the debut of the big gold belt, not just because, I'm a big mark for it because I have it, but the idea that it was such a departure from the classic NWA championship that we had grown up with Jack Briscoe and Terry Funk and Dusty Rhodes and Harley Race. And now you go to this, such a different presentation, an oversized belt by comparison. But at the time, in all the wrestling magazines, the AWA's showing off their championship belt, and it's gigantic. So Crockett wants to make sure that he's got, a belt befitting the world champion. And that means bigger than the AWA.
Mm-hmm. Man, look at this. They're slugging it out here.
Big time.
I mean, they are slugging it out. And we're talking about, we're talking about just beating the shit out of each other.
Up and over he goes.
Mm-hmm.
And now Flair is splattered out on the floor next to Truck and Tom Miller, who's trying to scoot out of the way. Yeah, we'll track some of those chops when they start trading them again. They get plenty of time here, for a TV match. They're going to go 14 minutes and 33 seconds. I should mention the next day, there's 2 shows happening. One in Saginaw, Michigan, with Flair and Ron Garvin again. Also the Road Warriors on the undercard. Meanwhile, believe it or not, in Greenville, South Carolina, the Rock and Rolls and the Midnights are going to go in a 2 out of 3 falls match to a 60-minute time limit draw. So I guess they're probably 1 fall apiece and time expires. It's pretty remarkable to think how many time limit draws you had back then, but that was sort of the way the business was done.
Yeah. And exactly. That's the way it was done. And sometimes if you have a time limit draw and you give them a great match, fans are not so pissed off about it.
I'm really glad that we called an audible and we're watching Superstars on the Superstation. And I'm really thankful that it's on the WWE Network, or if you're listening to this in the future, it's on, as Tony calls it, the cock. But I like that we sort of see payoffs for what we've been seeing on TV. You know, we've been building towards these, and now we get to see the culmination. And don't forget, the very next day after this aired, because this aired on a Friday night, later than normal, I think it was 10 p.m. Eastern. So it's a late Friday night show here on TBS on the Superstation. And of course, the following morning, after this aired, is when they'll record the 6:05 show. Man, is Saturday 6:05? Is that that's synonymous with wrestling, is it not?
It's it. It is absolutely it.
I even thought about, once upon a time, we should have a Saturday 6:05 show.
You mean a live thing?
No, I mean we should have some sort of podcast that drops on Saturday at 6:05. It's just synonymous with wrestling.
There you go. Got any ideas?
No, but I do want to welcome to the family. We do have some new things going on at AdFreeShows.com. Of course, this past week we debuted the new Chris Hero podcast that we're calling "Can Chris Hero Save Wrestling?" And it's free for everyone over at AdFreeShows.com. It's not behind the paywall. So if you haven't joined us yet on AdFreeShows.com, or you think maybe, well, you got to go sign up and spend money, and I don't really want to do that, you don't have to spend anything. We've got new content every single day, free for everyone, including the exclusive new podcast, Can Chris Hero Save Wrestling? It got high marks. If you're interested in WWE developmental and the way NXT works, that was our subject for week 1. And I'm happy to say, and I think you'll dig this, Tony, we're paying tribute to Tracy Smothers on week 2.
Very good.
So later you'll be able to check that out over at AdFreeShows.com. Or actually, by the time you hear this, it's available now. Our tribute to Tracy at AdFreeShows.com.
Very cool.
Irish whip here, into the corner, up and over the old Ray Stevens bump. Oh, back into the ring.
Yeah, man.
Still selling. That looks like Ric Flair after Wendy gets done with him, huh? Just
Please,
bobbling that head.
Please, I'll take out the garbage.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll take out the garbage when I tell you to take out the garbage. So, you know what? What I'm thinking about here is how much wrestling was an art form. And I say that because they're calling spots, but you can't tell it.
Right.
And that's phenomenal.
Some of it's probably too, just familiarity.
Yeah.
Rick has said before that when he would wrestle Steamboat, they wouldn't have to call a lot of spots. Like, they were so familiar with each other. It would be one of these deals. And you can see me, Tony. And by the way, the video for this show is available at AdFreeShows.com, but he would just look at Steamboat and go like this. And Steamboat knew what that meant.
Right.
Like, just darting your eyes up to the top right-hand corner, just look up and to the right, and Steamboat knew exactly what that meant. That's when you know you're in sync with your partner, your opponent, your dancing partner here.
Yeah.
What a great spot that was. You don't see that very often anymore, but boy, that was a staple of wrestling.
Yep.
Powering up and then trying to get that backslide. I love a good backslide. We need more backslides in wrestling.
I love backslides. Love backslides. And I'm sure Pondwater Dave does too.
Oh, I'm sure if Lauren Yaffe had a backslide, he'd want to see it.
Pondwater Dave. You think he grew a beard just for Lauren?
Dude, he's going to try whatever look it takes to get her attention. It got so heated that Lauren Yaffe's husband had to call Pondwater, tell him to fucking knock it off, cool down.
Wow.
Like, this thing's going to end in there's going to be that show 48 Hours on TV where something bad happens and they got to investigate it.
Yeah.
There's going to be a Pondwater 48 Hours. In a love triangle with the flaming hot Cheetos, fanatic wrestling fans, married couples, and a man with a golden eye.
He lost his thumb one day and had it surgically repaired. Was she the nurse at the hospital that day? Did that begin the relationship?
You know the story about how he lost his thumb in New Orleans, right?
There can't be a good story. There's no good story about losing your thumb.
Well, he didn't actually lose it, but it looked like he was gonna.
Okay.
We go to this fancy restaurant. It's WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans a few years ago, and Big Booty Judy's with Cassio. And of course I have my lovely wife, Megan, and Super Dave comes and brings his pal. And they make me put on a jacket. Right. So I know this is a type of restaurant you wear a jacket to, but when I sit down, I take my jacket off and put it on the back of my chair, and they come over and they say, no, you got to put your jacket back on. I have to wear the jacket during dinner. Yes.
Oh,
okay.
Good God.
One of those type places. I'm just giving you some context.
Okay.
So it's candlelit and everyone's in hushed tones. And, so they bring out the menu, and, of course we all ask, hey, what are the specials? Like, what would you recommend? Like, what's the thing to get? And the lady really puts over the sizzling oysters. And of course, Pondwater gets all excited and he's ready for that. Oh, and here we see, wait, check this out. Man, he had him knocked out stone cold.
Mm-hmm.
And referee Tommy Young's on the outside. Let's track it here. Let's see what's going to happen.
Here goes the champion. Turn around, Ron. Well, it was too late. Rick goes down. Desperation pin. Hey, Tommy.
His foot was on the rope.
His foot was on the rope. What are you doing?
Tommy.
His foot was on the rope. Shut up. What do you mean? His foot was on the rope.
You've certainly seen a lot of exciting wrestling right here tonight. And I know Linda's just as excited about all of it as I've been, but we've got to go for now. So for Linda Curry and Magnum TA and the Superstation, I'd like to say good night.
Good night.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.